Hi, everybody.
Welcome to our live today.
Yeah. So I'm Chris.
And I'm Miriam.
See, look, there it is. It says Miriam Bear.
There's my name.
Hey, hey. Yeah. And then it's going to say that I'm Chris Bear.
So he didn't line up with his name.
No, we're from Keto Chow. Every Tuesday night, we get together and do this live stream. Tonight, we are actually joined by a special guest. So we've got Kelsey on. There you are.
Hi. This is very cool.
Whoa,
Very
yeah. Let's see. And, oh, hey, we got Patty on and Ed.
Hey, guys.
We've got two DJs, huh? Oh, the headphones.
Yeah, like you guys.
Yeah, so the headphones are because otherwise there would be an intolerable echo.
Yep.
So I think we tried it once without the headphones. And it did
was
not
weird.
work.
That's okay.
So,
we'll figure it. This is fine the way it is.
yeah, it's great. We also can't hear the kids downstairs this way.
Yeah, it's perfect. No
I like
one is going to be bothering us.
Okay, so, yeah, like I said earlier, we do this weekly live stream. We've actually been doing it for almost 2 years now, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But tonight we're joined by a special guest. We've got Kelsey. Now, I first met Kelsey at the Metabolic Health Summit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, me too.
Why didn't we ever meet you before at Dr. Rigby's office?
I've actually only been with Dr. Rigby since like November.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I haven't been very long. You know, they kind of hide me too.
They stick you in the back corner. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. So, oh yeah, Christy Davis is on.
Yay,
Carla's on.
Christy.
So is John. And Margaret. They're both from Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird.
I bet it's warm there. It rained today. It's cold
It was
here.
pretty cold.
It is cold.
Candace is on from San Diego. Heather is on. Heather Lush. And Deborah's on from Mayfield, Kentucky. Okay, so Kelsey Bird, aside from the awesome last name and
Right.
all the letters. Okay, so you've got a bunch of letters at the end of your name. What do those mean?
Yeah, so RD is registered dietitian, and then CD is just certified dietitian, meaning that I can practice in the state of Utah.
Okay.
And then dietitians, we like letters after our names. You'll see some dietitians with a lot more letters after their names. And so the next letters I'm working on is the Certified Keto Nutrition Specialist,
Wow.
CKNS.
Nice.
Where do you get that from?
It's actually a board certification through the American Nutrition Association it's one of the American Associations of Health.
Okay.
But it's modules, and as long as I pass the test, I'll get those letters.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it will help with, especially if you're doing like keto therapies for different metabolic syndromes or cancer or epilepsy or different things like that. It will really help be able to fine tune the therapy.
Okay. I just realized I don't need my glasses on because
You can see the comments.
I can see the
right
comments down here. Ha! So much better without the glasses. Because these things were pressing in on them. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what
Okay, so let's begin at the beginning. So you are doing a ketogenic diet for your own health, right?
Yes, I have 2 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's tell us your story. How did you get involved with a ketogenic diet? What do you do with Dr. Rigby? What do you do for fun? What are you doing during the zombie apocalypse?
Right. Just like every other mom, I think, in the world, I'm trying to survive with the kids always at home. But so it actually goes back when I was 17, a couple days before my 17th birthday, I had a seizure. Out of the blue, no one in my family has epilepsy, and I was actually in a hot tub. So luckily I was
wow.
with friends. Yeah, like very, very fortunate. We were all swimmers and lifeguards, so they kept me afloat during it. But that was just a big shock. I remember waking up to the firefighters and then going to the hospital, running all the tests, and then having a neurologist come in late at night saying, okay, you have epilepsy, take this pill, see me in 3 months.
Yep.
That's just kind of,
Oh,
right? Like, and I was like, very hard to grasp because I've never had to take medicine, on a daily basis. And then again, epilepsy, seizures. I don't think I was really aware of what seizures were up until that point.
Yeah.
And they also told me I couldn't swim, and I was a competitive swimmer. So I
Aw.
was just like huge changes all at once. But for me, my body did not respond to the first medication, and so
Which one was it, by the way?
I don't remember.
Atlantin, Depakote.
It wasn't. I actually have a anaphylactic reaction to Dilantin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Depakote, they stay away with females because of the potential for birth defects.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure it was like Keppra or Topamax.
Yeah.
Are
Our
probably
son was on all of those medicines.
Yes.
yes, because I remember you guys started. So they added more medications. I had more side effects. Didn't have a personality.
Who
would
needs
go
one of those?
Yeah. Oh.
right? So the last year and a half of high school was, I don't really remember. It's a blur, which hearing some of the stories is actually a good thing because I'm sure you guys know the side effects of some of those medications are horrendous.
Yeah.
So it's a part that I don't remember. After high school, my mom, so rewind a little bit, 3 months before I was diagnosed with epilepsy, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very stressful time, which is why they think the type of epilepsy I have came when it did, just because of the stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
So she was actually in remission, and she's like, I want to clean up my diet. And we had a health practitioner in the neighborhood, kind of like a holistic alternative doctor. And she's like, let's do his program. And I was like, okay, had nothing to lose. I was on 3 different seizure medications, and I was still having multiple seizures a week.
Oh, wow.
At this point. But we did his nutritional cleanse, and I finally went a day without a seizure, then a week without a seizure, and my life was back. And so that's why I went into nutrition, was because I was like, wow, it really makes a huge difference. Like what you put into your body and how your body processes it. So I'm very passionate about it. It was eye-opening. I mean, I grew up on McDonald's and Hamburger Helper, and what else did we eat? A lot of Subway in between sport practice. And so it was a big, big change. I did know for me through that whole process before I started college, gluten was a big trigger. Okay. So when I added back gluten, my seizures started coming back.
Now, was it the actual gluten protein, or was it the carbs that came along with the gluten?
That's actually a great question. I haven't analyzed that part. Okay. I don't know. I still even I know I have some issues to gluten because even now, I'll get achy joints and just not feel as great when I consume the gluten itself. And then, so I went into nutrition through college. At that point, I was able to go down to 1 to 2 seizure medications throughout college, study nutrition, loved it. I actually wanted to go to med school, and I came out. My dad was Air Force, stationed at Hill Air Force Base. And I came out there to finish up a pre-med requisite after I graduated. And then I met my now husband. And it was quick, met him, knew he was the right guy. He proposed to me after 3 months.
Why did he wait so long? What the heck?
Right? Well, I think my mom gave him the wedding ring. That was my great-grandmother's after.
Oh.
Yeah. And said, no pressure. So no, my mom really liked him. And so, so I stayed in Utah. He was a nurse, and he's like, you're not going to med school, not the lifestyle you want. And I thank him every day for that.
Oh, wow.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right. But after to become a dietitian, you have to have your 4-year college degree. Then you have to get into an internship and have 1,200 hours of supervised practice.
Okay.
And then pass the national exam. And actually now they're requiring a master's degree for dietitians.
Really? Wow.
So yes. So it's lots of schooling. And so I did my internship. Actually, it was with Wellness Workdays based out of Boston, Massachusetts, which was helpful because actually my parents lived in Boston at that time. But that was a great experience. And then I had a child, my first child, my son at that time, and was pregnant with my second when I actually passed the exam and became a dietitian. Through all of this, I never really paid attention to the keto diet. I remember in undergrad, I did a research paper, like a literature review, looking at the efficacy of the ketogenic diet. And really, it was just looking at the pediatric population and the classic 4-to-1 ratio. But it's so funny. Like, I look back now, I'm like, why didn't I ever consider it for myself?
Because it's only for kids, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I've seen so many different epileptologists and no one really addressed it to me. And I didn't see, this is before, now it's mainstream. Like, you can just type in keto and thousands of things pop up. But I really didn't give it much thought. I did play around. I had different autoimmune diseases that popped up post-college. And so I played around with paleo and autoimmune protocol type diets, FODMAP, different things like that. And every diet helped a little bit. Nothing ever gave me that seizure freedom. And so I was pregnant with my second child, and I went down to the University of Utah, and Dr. Burlow, I thank him every day because I was like kind of desperate. I ran out of all the different medications for my epilepsy, and I did not want to go back to some of the other ones. Like, they wanted me to go back to Keppra, and I was like, nope, I remember those side effects. I remember. So no, thank you. And I was like, what do you think about the ketogenic diet? And he's like, oh, well, it actually could really help you. And so, and I was like, okay, send me to a dietitian that specializes in the diet? And he's like, I don't know of a dietitian.
Oh.
And so that was the starting of me learning.
Yeah.
Of the ketogenic diet. I didn't start the diet until after my second child was born.
Okay.
And so I didn't really want to do it in pregnancy just because I didn't quite understand how it was all going to work. And so I did it 2 weeks postpartum is when I went officially on the keto. But I had been, weaning things off, or weaning transitionally beforehand. And so, but he monitored my lab work, my EEG, which from prior EEGs to just a month being on the diet dramatically improved. So that was pretty cool to see. Yeah. Still having abnormal, it was still an abnormal EEG, but it wasn't as reactive or whatnot. So that was pretty cool. And so I've just been, when I first went keto, I was classic 4-to-1.
Okay.
And I thought that's what I had to do to have that deep ketosis and stay seizure free. And the Charlie Foundation, that diet, Beth, there, she was like, no, you can actually tailor it and see your tolerance. And I was like, thank goodness.
So tell us what 4-to-1 is.
Oh, okay. Yes. Great question. So 4 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein plus carbs.
Okay. So anything else sort of thing.
So it's really high in fat.
Really, really high in fat. It's very, very hard to even get your recommended protein allowance in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really only recommended for less than 2 years just because it is so restrictive. And that was like when the ketogenic diet was created back in 1921. Yeah. That's kind of what they use, 4-to-1. They did use net carbs, not total carbs, which I know that's still a debate today.
Yeah, but they also weren't using erythritol.
Yeah, well, in 1921, what net carbs were there?
Or
I don't think those existed back then.
How many products were there that had fiber?
It was still real food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of keto dietitians, we use those ratios to kind of help people. We move people onto different ratios to help them with whatever, if it's epilepsy or if it's another neurological disorder, even just weight loss. People will experience different benefits at different ratios.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
For sure.
So most people who do like online and stuff, it's usually like a 1-to-1 ratio, if that. Some recipes that say they're keto aren't even a 1-to-1 ratio.
Let alone a 4-to-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Deborah said that, just put a comment that she had petit mal epilepsy and was on phenobarbital and dilantin in her 20s.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
Okay, so now you said that your neurologist, right? He was the one who said
at the University of Utah.
Yeah, that you could try it. And we had not that same sort of experience, but our son Max, after it was on
13 medicine.
Yeah, the 13th medicine. The neurologist said, well, you could check out this keto thing.
Yeah, well, they said that they would recommend him doing it if this medicine doesn't work, because all of the other children's medicines we have tried.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Lucky 13.
It worked. So
Crazy.
Anyway, so
It's so sad that you have to go through that whole trial. It's just like a guessing game. They don't know.
no, and I still get a little mama bear when people, a little when people are like, someone will say something about epilepsy. There was an article about a new treatment for epilepsy that involved implanting a thing in people's brains that would, shock them every once in a while and kind of do like a pacemaker. And I said, before doing something like this, you really should investigate the ketogenic diet. And this was on comments on the Ars Technica website. Mm-hmm. And somebody just launched into me and they're like, how dare you say blah, 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 and you think a stupid diet's going to change anything like this? And I'm like, let me tell you a story about my son. Mm. And they never replied.
I get on like different dietitian groups.
Uh-huh.
I get very... I get upset. I'm like, I don't know. It is very, very frustrating. And unfortunately, after Dr. Berlow left the University of Utah, he went back to Canada. The new doctor they assigned me to was not supportive.
Oh, okay. So how'd that go?
I switched.
So instead of changing your doctor, you changed your doctor.
Yeah. Like Ken says.
I think it's super important if you have that chronic illness for someone to at least acknowledge what you're doing. Yeah. And it's even better if they can help, at least know some basics so they know which lab works and things like that to monitor. Okay. But yeah, I couldn't work with someone who, did not respect, not even respect, but just acknowledge that it could help and it was helping me. Yeah. And then I did see a neurologist and he's like, well, I would ask the dietitian. I was like, sir, I am the dietitian. I just need you to write the order.
Can you prescribe things for yourself if you're a dietitian? I mean, I guess so, right?
I wish. I mean, I can write the nutrition prescription and I can write the nutrition diagnosis, but that's about
okay.
That's it.
All right. So. Okay, so we've got you using a ketogenic diet. How well did that treat your epilepsy?
Significantly. I actually have my driver's license now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was 2019 I got it. No, it was 2018, November of 2018. I got it. So that was I felt like I was 16, being able to drive. My husband warned everyone to stay off the road. But it was freeing. Plus it felt like the independence. It's very difficult to be a mom and not be able to drive, or just be an adult and not be able to drive.
Did you load your kids up and take them to soccer practice just to say that you did it?
I did. And I just drove in circles and they went to sleep and I was like, this is freedom.
Wow.
But yes, so there's that. It significantly, so at the best control before the ketogenic diet, I would have a seizure usually once a month.
Okay.
Illnesses still, if I get sick, if I run a high fever, I still have a seizure.
Oh, really? So a febrile seizure?
Yes.
Okay.
And so temperature's always been a big trigger for me. And so even now, if I can't control my temperature, that will trigger one. But now I can just, so it's now months and months and months without seizure.
Wow.
So without a seizure. I have 3 kids, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And so this last one, I was on the ketogenic diet through the whole pregnancy.
Okay.
And I did have one seizure during the pregnancy, but I was also sick, and there's some stress, and you're not sleeping when you're pregnant, so multiple different triggers. And so
wait, is pregnancy stressful?
No, it's easy.
It's easy. Yeah. That's the man saying that.
I don't know. I pretty much slept through all the childbirths. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. What?
Sorry.
No, that's all good. So, yeah, I am still on. So in the state of Utah, to keep your driver's license, you have to be on an anti-epileptic drug.
Okay.
So I am on one, very low dose, but I don't have any side effects,
Okay.
which is amazing, which is the first time in my life that I've had to be on a medication that I don't have a side effect
Wow.
from. So, and I will stay on that as long as I continue to not have any side effects. And then I think you have to go like 5 or 6 years without a seizure before you can go off of medication.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, I have some time.
Nice.
But I don't really plan on changing. I plan on staying on the ketogenic diet forever.
Well, it's not really sustainable, you know.
I hear that actually from a lot of people. I get actually that question, get asked that quite a bit.
You're like, you don't want to know what's not sustainable? Having seizures, okay?
Right? And losing like 2 weeks of your life out of
your life, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a big advocate of the ketogenic diet, I'm assuming then.
Yeah, I am. I'm a big fan.
So, what is it that you do professionally now? So you do have the RD and the CD and all the coming letters as well, right?
Yes. So I met Dr. Rigby probably last October on a hike. Ogden Clinic has these like little wellness hikes and whatnot, and I had a friend tell me that you need to go meet this doctor. He's a keto doctor, and I hadn't really ever heard of Dr. Rigby. I was living in my little, North Ogden bubble, and I was like, sure, I'll give him, the benefit of the doubt. And so I went on this hike, and it was up Waterfall Canyon, and we talked the whole time. And I just loved his passion for helping people get to their root cause and prevent and reverse disease. And so I was like, I could work with someone like you. And he really is supports and likes what a dietitian can offer. Just because doctors and dietitians both have a lot of schooling, but they look at people differently,
yeah.
Or they look at so it was a cool hike that started into a conversation, and now I'm just a consultant with them. So I don't see patients one-on-one with them. I do get referred, like I have a private practice.
Okay.
So I will see people virtually that they refer if they need extra help, or dietitians help with that. But for his practice, it's more of like help developing recipes or handouts, educational material that they can use with their patients, or educating the nurses a little bit more who provide the day-to-day interactions with their patients, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Rigby, myself, Cheryl Bingham, and Quincy, we have a company called Why Wait LLC, and that's the Facebook group. And we're just that we do support low carb, ketogenic lifestyles, but they saw a need to be able to support people more than what they could do in their brick and mortar, clinic.
Okay.
And so that's where this kind of we're not like, we have plans on launching a course and things like that, but it's really just, we want to create that community where we can support whole lifestyle, lifelong changes, those habits. So we don't see, because one of the dietitians struggle with the ketogenic diet is the fad diet part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Yeah.
So,
it's
right?
The only thing, it's super hot right now. The only thing hotter than keto is Joffles, right?
Yeah. So we're trying, that Why Weight Elevate, trying to provide the tools people need to keep that weight off. Because Dr. Rigby they have helped so many people actually lose so much weight, which is incredible. But that maintenance and continuing lifestyle changes is it comes in handy to have that support and accountability.
And so do you guys mostly do that just via the Facebook group, or you said something about a virtual, or are you doing like consultations over the web and things like that?
Yes. So that's just with me.
Oh, okay.
So the virtual right now, the nutrition sessions, that's just with me, not with Dr. Rigby.
Yeah,
or
he doesn't
Cheryl.
work at all. So yeah.
No. So that is And then right now with the Why Weight Elevate, it's just all Facebook. Everything's free. And we're working on giving out more education on stress eating because I think everyone's feeling
Yeah,
the
that's
stress.
what I want to talk about.
So you want to talk about how to stress eat?
Yeah,
Because I can
we've
tell you
got that figured out, actually.
So yes, so that is something we saw that need, and I like my husband was like, "You should listen to what you write and tell people."
Oh,
I was
oh.
What?
like, the group is great, also for myself to get me back on, on track. And I think we all, even professionally, like we all know what we're supposed to do, but actually holding ourselves accountable and doing it is a different story.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if anybody's watching this later on, we are right in the middle. Well, I hope this is in the middle, not the very beginning.
We are in
of the
a
whole
crisis.
COVID-19 thing. March 24th. So
We just got our school closed until May.
yeah.
So,
Hey.
Doesn't feel real. It feels like a movie that we're watching.
well, I was asking the kids at the dinner table today, I'm like, what are you going to tell your kids about this experience that you had? And Ruth's like, oh, it was horrible. Well, what are you learning from it? It sucks. Are you serious?
So what are you telling your clients and the people you work with? How are
and
you
your
helping
people
them?
on the website.
What's that?
Yeah. So I did post the Keto Pantry like staple list of just things how to stock your pantry full of shelf stable keto foods, low carb foods.
Okay.
And I think it's wise to have 2 weeks of food.
Okay.
Regardless of if you follow a low carb, keto, whatever diet plan you're going to follow, it's helpful regardless. And even if we weren't in this crisis, but especially during this crisis, like having those canned foods that you can use up and not having to go out and expose yourself to more or shop or hoard toilet paper. I tell people you don't have to hoard toilet paper.
Yeah.
Well, so from our own perspective, we went to low carb Denver right when
Okay, yeah, Dr. Phoebe was there.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. That's
He
right.
introduced us to Brian Letsky.
That's right.
Oh,
But we went to that right when all of this craziness just like when everything went nuts. When the
Every
toilet
hour
paper,
we were hearing
the whole deal.
a new announcement.
Yeah.
And we're like texting our
New
kids,
closer.
guess what this happened? Guess what this happened? Guess
Yeah.
what this happened? And then they'd text us, you missed this one. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
so our kids were at home and we had bought stuff ahead of time so that they would have food while we were gone.
okay.
And so that was kind of nice that we missed the beginning of the craziness. Like we're just at the conference doing our thing every day and not having to worry about all the hoarding and buying stuff and everything because, well, we're at the conference and we don't care. And our kids are at home and they've got food.
And they were at home.
Yeah, they're
they're
just
safe.
fine. And we got home and everybody was fine. And I went to the store and I bought 10 dozen eggs. And everyone was like, hoarder. And I'm like, we're going to use this up in like a week.
Yeah, maybe two, if we can make it last that long.
Yeah.
Let's have a friend that has extra eggs from her chicken
Oh.
because you can find eggs right now. And I was like, thank you.
That's nice.
Like eggs are a staple in our house.
Well, see, we've got
We have
chickens.
chickens, but our kids
We
eat
eat them
the
too
eggs
fast.
faster than
Not the chickens, the eggs.
we get them. So today we got 5 eggs. We got 5 eggs. Which, if we make eggs for the family, that's like 18 and a half probably.
Yeah, and heaven forbid we make chaffles.
Yeah.
How many dozen eggs
We
did we
went
blow
through,
through
like,
yesterday?
5 dozen eggs making chaffles.
It was crazy. And like
We
a
had
full
some left in
5-pound
the freezer,
bag of
though.
cheese.
Yes, a whole 5-pound bag of mozzarella cheese. That was good. That was good. meal.
But it's a recipe that's so easy Ruth can make
Yep,
it.
all of our kids make chaffles, and it's great. We have 4 of the little tiny makers and the little waffle makers, and they just pull it out and make them. And they use Keto Chow, so they just do eggs and Keto Chow and cheese.
That's awesome. What flavor of keto chow do they use?
Snickerdoodle. We do the savory ones a lot, actually, for bread, but then we don't eat them as bread. The kids just like to eat them as waffles. Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except not the savory ones
Yeah,
as waffles.
but I'll do the tomato basil and use it for a little pizza crust and make little baby pizzas.
It's really good that way.
And it's great. Because it's just cheese and egg and a little bit of Keto Chow, and it's this perfect little pizza.
Yep.
There you go. I have a question for you guys. How long is Keto Chow stable for, like in your pantry?
2 years.
Okay, because I was recommending getting Keto Chow for your food pantry.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go this way because the other way is offensive. But yeah, 2 years. But yeah, and we actually did a post about that. In fact, I even paid a company to do longevity testing. Because the people who package up the samples, the little packages, they said, so we need to have like actual proof, like laboratory tests that say that the best by date is a best by date. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Let me get that. So we got the testing done, and yeah, 2 years is. They actually said it would probably last longer than that, but I think the FDA, the longest we can put on there is 2 years. So, in fact, even our electrolyte drops. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
I have some.
Okay, awesome. They're for headaches.
They help with a lot of things.
Yeah. So those have a best by date of 2 years from manufacturer as well, which is kind of crazy because
It's salt.
it's salt. Yeah.
It's been in the Salt Lake for thousands of years.
Yeah, it's not going to go bad. The plastic bottle is going to turn into dust before the electrolytes go bad, but whatever.
There's that, like we've done nutrition education on like the best by date and like how do you actually know if it's good or bad or when should you get rid of something. Yeah.
So a lot of people are commenting about the eggs. Katie has ducks.
Oh, I want a duck.
Man, we don't have a big
They're
enough
so cute.
yard
And they
for
have
ducks.
such big feet.
Riverton requires at least a half acre in
And
order
we have
to have
a
a
fourth
duck.
of an acre.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And we have a buddy, Mike, who lives in Las Vegas, and he says, I'm typing a note for work while watching this, and just type the word egg in the middle of an engineering drawing. Eggs are amazing.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. They are.
Okay, so tell us what you're telling people about stress eating. Like, how do you not do it?
Okay, so one of the first meditation is a helpful in tune, but like we eat either for survival, like the physical hunger that we have, or for connection. Like if you think of a baby, a nursing baby, very young, they at the beginning are just eating for survival. But at a point when you're nursing, they just want that comfort. They want to feel close to their mom. And so those are the two main reasons why we eat. And the emotional is part of that connection. We don't necessarily physically need it. So one of the first things to do is determine what your physical hunger cues are, what your emotional hunger cues are. And so there's different ways to do that. First, easy way to do that, if it comes on all of a sudden, not this gradual rumbling in the tummy, and you just envision this one thing like French fries or a cinnamon roll, that's emotional. Physical hunger is going to build up over time. You're going to really feel it more in your tummy, where emotional is going to be more in your throat up.
Okay.
If that makes sense. If you guys can envision that. So there's different, everyone has other different cues. If you get too physically hungry, you're also going to get weak and lethargic. And so those are other signs of like, oh, you're physically hungry, you need to eat. Yeah. If you do notice that you are more of that emotional eating point, like you have that food that you really just want, there's some strategies you can do from the time where you envision that food to actually eating. Just take 5 to 10 minutes and close your eyes and connect to yourself and kind of be like, okay, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling stressed, I really want this, but I'm not hungry. And doing that, and even just not even thinking, just taking those deep breaths and focusing on those deep breaths. When you're done in that 5 to 10 minutes, most likely you're not going to need that food anymore. Your brain's going to be moving on to something else. So the other thing is like change activities after 10 minutes. If you still want that food or you still want to eat, you can eat. But normally that 10 minutes is kind of that number of like, switch your brain and see if you still want it or need it.
Okay. I'm bored with this. Let's do something else.
Yes. But connecting to yourself. And that sounds, may sound weird, but that is actually the best way to handle stress and emotional eating is realizing that you're craving something. And what are you craving? It could be, you're not really craving that brownie. You're craving a cuddle with with your spouse, or you're not hungry for that Snickers bar. You need to take a nap or something like that. Does that make sense?
If I could take a nap every time I craved a Snickers bar, I would probably feel a lot better.
Now I need to see you do it.
What?
I dare you to take a nap.
Mike says when he feels hunger, he licks a Redmond Salt Rock and drinks a glass of water.
That's a good idea.
And that is actually a great suggestion because that is really, our brains confuse thirst and needing salt with hunger. So having that salt on hand and drinking some water, that can satisfy and be like, oh, your brain will be like, oh, I'm not actually hungry. I was just thirsty. But our brains have a very hard time distinguishing between the two. The other thing I should mention, if you have good foods and bad foods, which I know this is really difficult with like people who follow a keto diet, who we really do have foods that we avoid. If your brain is wired to want what you can't have. So if you label that I can't ever have that Snickers bar, that's what you're going to want.
Oh, the forbidden fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's actually that's a good point.
So what do you say about Snickers? Like, I can have it, I'm choosing not to have it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
what do you say?
It's depending on where they are. I have to really individualize this because I take a lot into how their relationship is with themselves and with food, and if they need to stay in nutritional ketosis for a health issue. Because like if I get out of nutritional ketosis, I have a seizure pretty quickly.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I have to stay in.
Yeah.
So, and I've struggled with food, which is kind of, I talk about food all the time and I struggle with food. But not having, like if I crave something, I'll actually allow myself to have a bite of it and be like, and then just move on. And I've gotten to the point, I've only gotten to this point actually being in ketosis. I've always, but intuitively eating and finding alternatives that satisfy whatever I want that are more low carb.
Okay.
But if you don't have to stay in nutritional ketosis, getting rid of those good foods and bad foods, to really base it off of how do you feel? Is it worth getting tired or cranky or having joint pain if you eat that food? Yeah. And focusing on those side effects versus so-and-so says I can eat this, so-and-so says I can't eat that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's checking in with yourself again.
Yes, a lot of check-ins with yourself.
Which if you're honest with yourself, you'll be more successful. Because I think we're honestly not, I don't want to check in with myself because I don't want to feel guilty. So I just rush to it and then I fail. Because if I checked in with myself, I would be better. I know I would.
Yeah. So it's getting back to that. It's so funny, like nutritionally wise, health wise, I like getting to the root causes of illnesses. And the same thing is with emotions. You got to get to the root cause to actually prevent or manage emotional eating long term.
Now, Rhonda just had a good question. Do you ever use exogenous ketones?
I do.
Okay.
And so I didn't at the beginning, but with life, being a mom, with kids, nursing, waking up multiple times, it's very hard for me to manage my blood sugar levels and ketone levels just because my stress levels are through the roof. And so the exogenous ketones, right now I'm kind of on a daily dose of 3 meals in the morning. Just that's how I feel better. But I have, if I get my aura, I've been like my seizures, I didn't mention this, I've always had an aura with my seizures. And
we're not talking about an aura ring. We're talking about that feeling The train is coming into the station. You can feel it.
My hands do this weird thing. Like I can't control my hands. So if my hands ever do these weird
That's called an aura?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
And then my vision changes. And so that's like a warning sign of like, okay, I'm going to have a seizure. And it varies how much time. But if we can catch it right as the aura is beginning, I usually dose with 5 mils to 10 mils of exogenous ketones, and I don't have a big seizure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that kind of tracks with, I've always told people that exogenous ketones do have their place. And having high ketones in general, like striving to get higher ketones, has a place as well if you have a neurological condition that requires therapeutic levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we've started recommending some patients that are struggling with that transition to get into ketosis. Sometimes it can help with like the keto flu, but the hardest part, and this is like that fine line, some people, you can't eat a regular traditional diet and just take exogenous ketones and expect to get all the benefits.
Yeah.
Which that's
there's no
part of
magic.
the problem we have with those ketones, because so many people believe that that's what you can do.
I pour ketones on my chocolate cake and it's fine.
Yep. Yeah. So I see that too. And so it's really, I don't really recommend it first line for anyone. It's more of just let's see how you do and see how your body responds. And then if we need to add it, then we do.
Okay.
I mean, plus they're expensive and they don't taste that great. Because I started taking the esters. There's the salt and then esters, and it's
those are spendy, huh?
They are. It's $30, $33 for 25 mils.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you can just take 5 mils in the morning, and that seems to help with the stress management.
Yeah. So that keeps my ketone levels where they need to be in the morning. And then, with how I eat throughout the day, my levels stay pretty consistent.
Because when you're fasting in the morning when you wake up. So then you're...
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to be fasting, but sometimes when I midnight feeding of whatever child and...
Yeah.
It's kids. They are so...
Right?
They just mess everything up.
I feel you. 10 years ago. That kid didn't sleep through the night till he was a year old. So I still remember it.
It's rough. Those kids, they don't make it easy. But I don't like to rely on it. But it is like kind of my safety cushion now, because I always carry exogenous ketones.
Oh, wow.
Because if I do have an aura, then I'm like, oh, okay, I can take it. It's like
that's really nice that you have that.
Yes, it's huge. Yeah.
So it's an amazing tool. Rhonda wants to know if exercising affects your ketone. Well, another question: are you actually checking your ketone levels?
Oh, yes,
okay.
I do. At the very beginning, when I was still trying to get used to how my body responded and how it felt, I was checking multiple times a day. And I like Keto what is it?
Mojo.
Keto Mojo. I like Keto Jojo.
My daughter's nickname is Jojo, so I apologize. So the ketone and blood, and so I would do the glucose ketone index, the GKI number, and I noticed I was actually more sensitive to my glucose levels, which I was like, this is fantastic because glucose strips are cheaper than ketone strips.
Yeah.
And so as long as I can keep that glucose stable, I have my ketones number is not as important.
Have you thought about getting a CGM?
Yes, if I have. It's the insurance.
Oh.
But or money, finances,
It's only money. I mean, come on.
Grows on trees, right?
Yeah. Keto trees.
Yes. Longevity and multiple money streams just coming in with keto. Yeah. But it is something that I could continue to look into. So I only check it if I feel off.
Okay.
And then, or like usually like a maintenance, like once a week to make sure my levels are still where I need to be. But it has been kind of fun to try different foods and different ratios and see what I can add back to my diet and still feel good. So that's where I think testing can also be helpful.
Yeah.
To see how your body responds.
So back in the question about exercise.
Yes.
I know eggs are sides for bacon, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. So exercising does. My body specifically, so exercise, if you do CrossFit, hardcore HIIT exercises, that actually can be more of a stressor on your body. Okay. And with stress, your cortisol levels are going to be up, and that's going to affect your glucose and your ketone levels. So I have to be very, very careful. Mine is more like walks and yoga. And then like I do like a couple times. I really do like the CrossFit HIIT workouts. So when I'm feeling good, I dose with exogenous ketones. I don't really change. And then my post-workout fuel will change based off of my levels. If that makes sense.
So do you have MCT oil that you take often?
Yes. So MCT oil, I stay consistent every day. Okay. So my morning drink, I take 2 tablespoons in the morning.
Okay.
At lunchtime, if my levels are off, I'll actually do olive oil, like a shot.
Okay.
Oh, yum. Really, really yummy.
I've done that before.
I've done that too.
So I also use those two. So in the morning, just pure MCT oil. I like the C8, and then at lunchtime, olive oil.
Okay.
And those are my 2 supplements per se to help manage.
So do you ever think, boy, it'd just be easier to take a pill and not have these seizures than doing the ketogenic diet?
If the pill worked. So I don't like, so the first, I don't remember the statistics off of the top of my head, but when the first seizure medication fails, it drops down to like 13% success rate with the second medication, and then down to like less than 5%, 3%, I think 1 to 3% success rate with seizure control with that third medication. Now, doctors will not tell you that.
Wow.
Like if I would have learned that at the beginning, I would have gone straight to the diet.
Yeah.
And because brain surgery freaks me out. Plus, my seizures come from the frontal lobe, so you can't really take out your frontal lobe.
Why not?
I like.
You don't like the flat head and the.
No.
Yes, and all the different. So, and it's both sides. So for me, like just the brain surgeon, or even like the vagus nerve stimulator, I didn't like that. It didn't really sit well with me. Kind of freaked me out more. I think sometimes putting more into your body just stresses it out. So I really don't. The ketogenic diet honestly isn't that difficult once you make it a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And more products, more and more recipes. Like I think adding 1 new recipe a week to your like menu helps from getting bored, but preventing overwhelming. Because if you try all these different recipes, I have just a list I save when I'm like on Facebook or Pinterest, and I'm like, ooh, this looks good. I just save it. So one day, maybe during this we're all stuck at home, I'll get to making all these recipes.
Yeah, that's all I have on my Facebook feed is recipes I shared with myself. That's all I have.
I thought that's what Pinterest was for.
Yeah, it used to be until I stopped going on Pinterest.
Pinterest makes me hungry. I have to be very careful with Pinterest.
Yeah.
I have to stay away from Pinterest because I'm a dude.
True. So.
Let's see.
So, yes, seizure dogs. I see that question. Is that the one you're going to go to?
Actually, no. I don't think you need a dog that senses seizures because your aura tells you, right?
Yes. So as long as I keep having my aura, I will tell you back in high school, my parents were looking into seizure dogs just because I was having so many seizures all the time. And I wasn't even allowed to be left alone. But now that it's so managed and I still have my aura, there's We're good. And I married a nurse who was in the neuro ICU
Oh
for a
wow,
couple.
there you go.
So yeah, we're good.
He's got it figured out.
Yeah, seizures are easy peasy to him.
Yeah. Sean Tam says that brain surgery was a success for us and our
That's
son.
good.
Oh yeah. Well, there. I'm glad
So-
that worked.
Now, not related to anything that you're talking about. Let's see, who was it? Jerry asked about info on the salt blocks. Redmond has those. If you go, this is for Jerry, if you go on Two Crazy Ketos, they have a link on their site for where you can buy those chunks of salt.
The bags with the chunks
They're
of salt.
they're not linked anywhere on the Redmond site.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
have
it's
to
hard
have
to
the
find.
exact link, and Two Crazy
We
Ketos
should
has
get
it.
one of those.
And then somebody, again, not related to you, Kelsey, sorry, but Candace asked, why is chocolate peanut butter prep different? It's not different. It just, chocolate peanut butter has more
fat
calories.
in it already.
So
you don't need to add as much.
the amount of fat that you add is different. So, okay, back to Kelsey.
No, you're good. And you guys have to announce your like special flavor or whatever flavor.
Yeah, the flavor this
flavor
week.
of the week is beef soup base.
Beef soup base. And then we call it a base because, so I was coming up with the flavor, and I was like, yeah, you can make clam chowder by adding in clams and all this other stuff, and we were going to have like flavored clam chowder.
Okay.
And I was like, why don't I just not have it
can
flavored?
Do
And you
plain.
can add stuff, and it would just be a base. So it's still like the 1/3 of all your daily nutrients. It just doesn't have any flavor. So
Which is awesome.
It has flavor. It tastes like beef.
it tastes like, it tastes like beef gravy is what it tastes like.
A good base for lots of things.
Yeah. So there you go. Anything else you wanted to talk about that you had questions for Kelsey?
No, I don't think so. Just the whole stress eating, emotional eating.
Yeah,
thing.
that's.
Check in with yourself.
Are you part of the group with Why Weight Elevate?
I
You
am.
can definitely get on.
I got invited to it.
Oh, I might have got invited. I don't actually look at Facebook sometimes.
I'm not the best with social media.
Oh, Facebook stopped being fun when it became a job. So
That makes sense. But it's in the file section. It's a free group. I like how we can have that more community feel with the group versus a business page.
nice.
But the handouts are all in the files section of the
Okay.
group. Different, like one of the prevention measures is self-care. Self-care is so important. So different ways to relieve stress every day so you don't build up the stress and go to your pantry and rate it.
And binge.
Like
Yeah.
Miriam
For like
likes
4
going
days.
on walks.
Yeah, walking helps me considerably. I think the rhythm of it, I don't have to walk fast. It just
Right.
it helps my brain think clearer. I just want to be with a buddy, and if nobody wants to go, then I have a hard time.
I don't really like going on walks
I
yesterday.
just need to take this pillow with me.
Well, so yesterday to fill up Miriam's cup, I said we should go on a walk, and she's like, okay. So we filled up a wagon full of rolls of toilet paper and took them around to the neighbors.
Oh, you guys are so kind.
Well, we had an extra case, and I was like, you know what? So I found my dad. They came over on Sunday to say hi, and he showed me this meme that had like this old guy. It's actually an old painting. It's called Indian War Stories or something like that.
Okay.
And it's this like old grandpa on there in front of the fire, and he's holding a peace pipe. But the caption now says, "Grandpa, tell us a story about the olden days." And it's like, well, back before the Great Toilet Paper War of 2020, we had much toilet paper we used to hang it on the trees and houses of our enemies.
I have seen that one, and it's so true though. Like it's gonna be interesting to see what our kids remember and what we all remember. What's gonna go in the history books.
So we put a printout of that on the toilet paper rolls, and then we just walked around the neighborhood and
I love it.
gave people toilet paper rolls, but because Miriam likes going on
walking.
walks.
It's good.
See,
Yeah.
I was being
Good
nice.
for me.
And so that is walking is on on the list. Tai Chi, yoga, more of like the gentle yoga, the yin, restorative type types of yoga.
What about making yogurt?
How about eating yogurt? Oh wait, that's the problem. The eating is
Yeah,
the problem.
I do have Cheryl sent me a funny meme today that was everyone's social distancing.
Yeah.
She's like, I need help with social distancing from my fridge.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Let's just put a picture on it that says social distancing.
Yes, actually, post-it notes. I work with some of my clients recommending putting post-it notes and reminders of things to ask yourself before just going and eating mindlessly.
Mm-hmm.
That would stand out because we don't have a magnetic fridge. We just have a covered fridge, and it's so pretty. But
Yeah.
if there was a post-it note on it, everybody would see it.
You would probably be
I would die.
bugged to death.
Like, post-it note on my beautiful fridge. It's the only thing that's clean in our house is the front of the fridge and all the cupboard doors.
At least there's something.
Yeah.
There's something.
So Weathers Wendy said, Miriam, you should make a walking playlist and listen while you walk. Or, you can listen to podcasts.
I know, I should. I just feel all alone.
And there's meditation apps. There's that Calm and Headspace have been offering like free meditations during this crisis.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
But I don't know if you guys are into meditation or those apps, but they have like sleeping melodies that are supposed to help you go to sleep. I don't. I hit the pillow when I'm out when I get a chance, so I don't have a problem.
Yes. We've been sleeping for 8 hours for like a whole week and a half.
This has been
now.
really interesting.
It's super weird.
I've gotten more sleep in the last 2 weeks than I have, like more consistent sleep. It's been interesting to wake up with the sun.
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Or rather, wake up with the chickens, I guess, is
I'll
better.
take your baby for a week, and you can wake up with the sun too. And then
That
I'll be
sounds
fulfilled by babiness.
Yes, as long as you're holding her, she's happy.
Perfect.
Oh, but wow, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining
Yeah.
us.
So we had one more question. Someone asked about the beef soup base. We actually have a recipe on our site. If you go to ketochow.xyz/ I think it's recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just go to the resources menu, there's a whole bunch of different recipes that use the beef, well, all the different flavors, but the beef soup base. There is one there for braised beef that was done by Amanda. Do you know Amanda?
Don't. I've heard her name though.
Okay, yeah, she used to
was
work
at
up
Ogden
there
Clinic.
Yeah.
at Dr. Rigby's office. So, okay, so once again, before we go, how can people get a hold of you?
Probably Facebook is probably the best, or you can Instagram me at Soar with Bird. But the Why Weight Elevate, I am on that every day for work.
For work. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us, Kelsey.
Thank you.
And for anyone who's turning in, we'll be here again next week. And we do a live stream every morning as well. So, but
You guys are very consistent. Way to go.
once again, when we do the live stream, we don't have to edit it; it just goes up.
It's just magic.
So, okay. Well, thanks for
sure
joining us.
appreciate you.
What'd you say?
Yes, and thank you for allowing this social distancing thing to happen.
Yeah, it's funny because usually when we have a guest from Utah, we just like sit down on the sofa and hang out, but nope.
This is fine. We're all
right.
taking care of our families and ourselves, so it's good.
Yep. So Jerry once again wanted to know, where do I get the info you were talking about with dealing with emotional eating? You said that was in the
files.
Yeah, so you have to go to Why Weight Elevate and join. The group is called Community of People Elevating Their Mind and Body. Sorry for the super long name.
You could have made it longer.
I'm sure we could have added some more words. That's what happens when you get a doctor, nurse practitioner, business person, and a but no, just ask to join that group, and then you can go in and access those files.
Okay. All right.
Super.
Well, we're gonna end the live stream now. So, thanks everybody for joining us.
And have a good day. Take
Yeah,
care
have a
of
good
yourself.
day.
Be kind to yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.